So, Corey, thank you for your amazing patience. And if you didn't have patience and you were a yogi, I would feel like that's very conflicting. So, you have Queen of Patience. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to chat with you today. So, first of all, I would love for everyone, I know a little bit about you, but I would love for you to tell everyone a little bit about you and how you came on this more yogic entrepreneurial journey.
It's kind of got multiple layers, like as most things do. 6 years ago, I was hurt at work as a nurse, and I lost my job. I wasn't able to walk and do all sorts of stuff. And so at that time, two things happened. I wasn't sure if I was going back to work. So I started food blogging as something to do, and was thinking maybe I would start making money doing that. So cooking recipes and all that stuff. And at the same time, I started yoga as a kind of a last ditch effort, honestly, of healing, because I just was hoping for something to help. And turns out that was what was healing for me. Yeah. So simultaneously, healing, and I was in the online space, meeting people and doing, building a website, like social media, all that stuff, kind of learning those things. And I started to think that maybe that's where I wanted to be in a business. And I hired a coach, and it really pushed me to do the health coaching thing. But I kind of inside just knew that wasn't quite right for me. So nothing ever really worked out because I didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't exactly know what it was. Fast forward a few years, and last year I took my teacher training for yoga. So I've been practicing for a while, and then I took my teacher training. And I started teaching even before I finished, because I just knew this was it. This is what I was supposed to be doing. And so over the last year, it's really evolved where I'm teaching a lot. I'm teaching new teachers. I'm teaching workshops. I'm building my own teacher training. And then thinking wanting to expand it more, right? And get into the online space more. So I've done some yoga nidras online. I built my own course. So it's just really expanded quite quickly, because I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew kind of where I fit in. And I believed in myself. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's really good. So tell me, what style of yoga inspired you the most?
So mostly what I teach is restorative. So slow, gentle movements, breath work, really being intentional with your space. And I just love teaching women in particular, but a lot of men come to my classes too, how to reconnect with your body. And I say reconnect because I think we were connected at some point and we've lost it along the way. So this isn't something new to you. You already knew how to do this, and it's just relearning it. So I like the gentleness of it, the softness, encouraging people to just soften into who they already are. And I like the rest piece. So, I love it when people feel safe enough that they can fall asleep or just lay there and just have a really good, experience, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you feel is as a student, what was your biggest aha moment for you? This was the path. This was the journey that I am going to take.
It's so funny, but it's kind of embarrassing for me. I think it took me almost 2 years before I realized the things I was learning in the yoga classroom, I could take outside of the room. That empowering feeling I had, or when I had a bit of a panic attack and I used my own breath to calm myself and get through it. Listening to my body, the instructor saying, do this. And I would just be like, oh, it doesn't feel good. So I would shift it myself, right? And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just listening to myself, realizing that, oh, if I can do that here in this, room, I can take that into my life. I can take those
Yeah,
tools. It's no different, right? Um,
totally.
and so when I realized that, I realized I was, for me, was stumbling upon something really powerful, because I wanted to teach other people that too. Like, this center you have, this body, is your greatest tool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that self-realization just opens up so many doorways for you to be able to be on purpose in your life. It doesn't mean that it's yoga for some people, but to be centered within who you are allows you to be more authentic, allows you to be more open to the possibilities and the signs and the messages that are constantly around you anyway, right? It's so cool. It's so cool. So as on the entrepreneur side, where what is you said your focus was into teacher trainings and stuff like that, but what really do you feel is your number one focus right now?
I'm I'm really building up the intuitive body coaching side. I'm starting a group coaching, and then the individual coaching piece. So I kind of always knew I wanted to do the individual coaching piece, but
Mm-hmm.
the health coaching aspect wasn't quite right. And then I realized now, like over the last few years, that it's been the intuitive coaching. So again, just opening people up to that internal wisdom. And there's lots of different ways, right? There's lots of different methods to kind of help with that. But it's also because I know that I'm very intuitive and I use it in my classes, and I've had a lot of experience in nursing with that. Like, that is a gift. And that's the way I want to help people explore their own bodies, their own wisdom.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, because on your Instagram, which is underscore Corey Angel, you have a 6-week at-home yoga course. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and what that entails?
That was just kind of the first introduction, and it came by, just me asking people, like, what do you want to see? Like, when you hear yoga, like, what would you want to see, and what's missing, and like, what do you think of when you hear the word yoga, and all that kind of stuff, right? Kind of just
Yeah.
doing like a poll. And um, it always came back actual beginners yoga. People kept saying, like, I would watch YouTube videos and there's a ton of them, but I still can't even do what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. It's
Yeah,
too
it's
fast,
so
it's
true.
too hard, it's like all those kinds of things. And so um and that's a lot of what I teach, is really slowing down the movements and being intentional and breaking down what's happening into smaller, more tangible pieces,
Mm.
so it's not so scary. And so I
Yeah.
thought, an at-home program is a good kind of introduction to that, because especially going to studios, that's really scary. It's intimidating, right? So being in the safety of your own home, I felt like was a good way to start. Yeah.
Yeah, a good warm up into
Yeah.
gaining that confidence, that body confidence, right? So, what I would love for you to tell me, as you're in this yogi entrepreneurial space, what do you feel is the number one myth for beginner entrepreneurs in general?
Um, the number one myth I feel is that you don't know what you're doing, that you're doing it wrong, that you have to take certain steps before you know what you're doing, or you have to spend a certain amount of time before you know what you're doing. You have to hire the right coach. You have to follow a certain sequence. I mean, it can go on and on.
Yeah.
And it's what I teach in my classes as well, is you're not doing it wrong. I
Mm.
don't believe in that. I think sometimes we make detours, maybe, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong, because you don't know what the grand scheme of something is. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to believe in ourselves more in general. We really need to believe in ourselves. Um, and then the way to do that is connecting with your body, because I really think we have those intuitive nudges, and everybody has them. It doesn't matter if you think you're intuitive or not. You have them. You have wisdom. You kind of know, but then we just choose to listen to all the outside stuff first over ourselves.
So, what would you recommend would be maybe a small tool or a small daily practice for, you know, beginner entrepreneurs to be able to connect to that wisdom?
I think there's twofold. Part of it is I really believe in playfulness, and having fun. And so if you can get out of your head a little bit, and usually if we're having fun, that's what happens. You stop like thinking so much. That really helps because that slows down that monkey brain, and that is just saying all these different things, and you just kind of feel good in yourself.
Yeah.
That gives people a lot of confidence. That gives me a lot of confidence. And then take action. Just do something, like make a decision, move forward, learn. Maybe you learn, maybe it is the right thing, maybe, but you have to start somewhere. So I've kind of gotten, it's not a really routine, but gotten into this space of like, okay, do something to change up my energy, have fun, like go for dinner without a time limit or whatever, like whatever I consider fun at that moment. And then it's when I can make decisions like the next day when I'm like, oh, I feel so good. Right?
Yes. When you've created that space to receive that wisdom, if everything is so cluttered and full of anxiety and, too much of forced action, not inspired action, and it does the opposite thing, right? So, how do you pick yourself up when you're in a rut? Because there's that whole meme, that whole joke, that whole idea with entrepreneurial, like the entrepreneurial day, where it's like in the morning you're like, yeah, I'm on top of the world, and then in the afternoon you're like, good, bankrupt. And you know what I mean? Like, being an entrepreneur, in some ways you have to develop a thick skin to be able to constantly take action, right? So when you're in a rut, maybe in life or in business, because I find that they're quite intertwined, what do you do to pull yourself out of that?
I think it's along the same lines of really just do something to change your energy. So if you've been sitting at home staring at a computer screen, maybe you can just go sit at Starbucks and do that. Or maybe it's just go for a quick 10-minute walk. Moving the energy in your body, however that looks, really does a lot. It also changes your mind because your mind is thinking about something else, right? And it kind of rolls into like my self-care stuff, like kind of how I believe about self-care, because it's all kind of related. Like for me, self-care is just a mindset, a way I see my life and see me, not necessarily the individual practices, although they may work. Right?
Yeah.
It's the way I choose to see me.
Oh, that's really cool. I really like how you put that. So another question I have for you is, what do you feel is the most effective self-care practice for you? Like one that you can always turn to, that turns you into much more inspired, much more calm. Something that's almost like maybe a quick fix or like an emergency practice.
Sleep.
It doesn't have to be complicated, right?
It's not complicated for me. That's the answer. Maybe it's a short 10 or 15-minute nap, or maybe it's being intentional for a week because I know that I'm just backed up for some reason or lost some sleep. Like, okay, every night this week I'm going to bed an hour earlier. Like, that's always been a theme in my life, and so now I'm just super intentional about it, and I protect my sleep because I know that I'm a stronger human. I'm more like, I can think better, I can function better. So I choose sleep.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There was this one interview I listened on Joe Rogan's podcast. He had a sleep specialist, and he was talking about that when you don't go into proper REM sleep for like consistently, and you're actually starting to experience sleep deprivation, you actually hallucinate in real life. Like with your eyes open, you will hallucinate because you're not. Found that so fascinating, because there was a period of time where I was like, there's methods to being able to sleep effectively, and I'm going to try doing that. And so there's all these different sleep cycles that you can go through. Corey, it was a nightmare. I was like a zombie for 2 weeks trying to redo all my sleep cycles, and it just like kind of go with the flow. Changing up sleep and stuff, it's too hard, I think.
And I do believe like some people do better, like maybe staying up later. Things I learned for me that I really didn't like having to wake up super early. That's like a common thing people say, really get lots done in the morning, and that doesn't work well for me. Neither does like staying up super, super late either, but I just found that if I could sleep in a little bit and not have that pressure be like, you need to be up at 4 and get 3 hours of work done in them, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Taking that pressure off myself made a huge difference, and I found that I slept better when I took that pressure off.
Totally. Isn't it funny how that works out?
Yeah. And that's why I teach yoga. Yoga nidra induces that deep sleep, right? It has that same effect on the body, because I believe in it so much that we just need more of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. That scheduled sleep, because then your body gets into such a great routine that it's not always feeling like it's surviving. And it's like, when am I actually going to get sleep? When am I actually going to get sleep? So then all your systems and your brain is not fully functioning to the capacity that it possibly could be, right? So you're kind of always your body's in this state of limbo, because it's like, do I need lots of energy, or am I going to get time to rest? I don't know, because this person doesn't give me any consistency in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah. Alrighty. So what would you say is 3 strategies for success that you've experienced for new entrepreneurs? So maybe you went down one path and you realized that there was just too much noise and it's being talked about a lot, and you just found 3 really simple things that worked for you in being able to maintain consistency in your entrepreneurial journey of a yogi.
I think number 1 would be that you need to have some sort of practices yourself that are good for your mind, that are good for your body, and then which is where your emotions live. So I intertwine those 2, but then also like a spiritual type practice, whatever that means, because we're all these components. We're often, stuck in our heads. We do a lot of stuff for our brain, which is great. All the decisions and all the things we have to do, but if you forget about the other pieces, they can become really unhealthy, and then that will drag your mind down, and you're not going to be effective as an entrepreneur to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think I would say that is number 1. Number 2 kind of relates to what I was saying earlier, just that you don't have to have it all together. Like, get rid of that mask, that mindset. Just stop thinking that.
Yeah, totally.
You don't even need a website these days, right? Like, you can sell a lot of stuff just through Instagram or whatever. Like, you don't need to have all of these things. And there's many ways to do something. So just take a step. And however you feel like you want to do something, like for me, realizing I knew a while ago, the health coaching wasn't quite the right fit. It was almost there, but not quite the right. So that resistance I felt, well, of course I'm not going to get anything done if I feel so much resistance to it, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I totally feel that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I knew for me there was resistance there, right? And then the third piece I think I would say is stay connected to your truth. So what you know is true, share it, and that, like, speak up, don't hide it. And that brings other people into you so you can stay connected, because I think connection is so important. But people can't connect with you if they don't know you.
Exactly.
They can on a surface level maybe, but if they don't really know, how are you going to bring the right people in, and how are you going to have the right connections or meaningful connections, and connections that give you more growth and inspire you, right? And as an entrepreneur, I would assume that that's kind of what you want, right? You want to grow.
Totally. And I mean, every entrepreneur is selling something and needs somebody to be able to fulfill a transaction for them to be able to get to the next level or grow their business or whatever it is. So being connected is so very important. And I mean, it's very hard in this wonderful world that we have of technology where we can literally never leave our house, but at the same time be able to connect to millions of people. And there has to be an energetic balance with that. You know what I mean? Like you need physical interaction, like in your face interaction with people. You can't just do it online all the time, because I really feel energetically like it's just, there's something missing there. Do you know what I mean? I find that sometimes when I'm behind my computer for a few days, I'm like, I need to get out. I need to see some people. I need to give someone a hug. You know, that's not my family, you know? And I really feel that connection, even just getting together with a bunch of friends, is really important for your self-growth, because being underneath the lamp of being behind your computer for so long, I mean, it can wear on you, definitely, because like you were saying before, you get distracted by all the noise and then you get really insecure. It's like, what am I doing is right? I feel lost because so many people are doing so many different things. So I just really feel that connection is so important. So Craig, my last question for you is, and I know I talked to you a little bit about this before, and it's like, my question is, what fires you up? So something that's not like what gets you really excited, but something that ignites a fire in you, but that's more like a pet peeve than an excitement thing that you're seeing that's going on in the entrepreneurial world, or maybe the yogi world, or something that kind of lights a fire within you that actually benefits you on your entrepreneurial journey.
That one's really easy, so obviously it's the right answer, because
yeah.
think about that. Or I didn't actually have to think about it. My thing is safe spaces. And what that means for me is I acknowledge myself in any kind of relationship with someone as maybe a guide, maybe I can be a facilitator, but I don't own all the power. And it's a real pet peeve of mine when we have instructors, when we have coaches and people that say, I'm the one that's going to make you change. I know all the things and I'm going to show you what you need to do. I know better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the wrong approach, where we are simply tools. And if that person chooses to maybe use us as a tool, that's great. Mm-hmm. But it's in creating safety that they feel good enough that they can do that, and they can internalize whatever you're saying or you're offering or whatever you're doing, but they still ultimately have the choice, not you. It has nothing to do with you. And that gets me fired up when I see that, and I think, oh, you're going about it the wrong way. Because we're all just tools. And yes, maybe I have some wisdom. Yes, maybe I have some great insights and some tools. But it's really not about me. It's about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally feel the same way on that, for sure. Totally. That wasn't a pet peeve of mine, but I think it might be, because I might have to add that to my list. But and it's really hard because everybody's out there and they have got their marketing tactics, and it's like this way or the highway. And I've fallen victim to that many, many times. And it's really discouraging because it's not a right fit for everybody.
And it doesn't mean you don't sell, you don't promote. No, that's not what it means, but it's an energy. It just boils down to energy. It's an energetic thing of where you can tell. I mean, you can tell when someone thinks that their thing is what's going to change you, and it's not about you at all.
Totally. They have some growing to do on their entrepreneurial journey, because I'm sure at some point they'll figure that out themselves, because it won't work anymore, you know? Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I'm so grateful that we got a chance to connect and talk, and you got to share your story and you got to share some of your wisdom. And your Instagram is just so lovely. So everybody, you have to go to Corey's Instagram page. It's underscore Corey Angel, and I'll put it in the comments as well. And follow her, check her out. And is there anything else that you would like to share? Any words of wisdom, any offers, anything that you would like to offer as we finish up our conversation today?
Well, all my offerings are on my website, CoreyAngelYoga.com. And if you want to send me a DM on Instagram, I'd love to send you a free yoga nidra. I've recorded a few that I just love giving away to people because I believe in it so much. Just in that power of creating space and rest within yourself. And yeah, I would love to connect, so.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, so everybody, you have to go follow her on Instagram and DM her so you can get free yoga nidra session. That's so wonderful to offer. Thank you so much. And yes, well, thank you again so much for connecting with me and being patient as we've gone through a little bit of technical difficulties today. And I wish you all the best. And I'm so excited to catch up with you soon and learn more of what's happening with you.
Thank you.
So you take care, beautiful soul. And I send you lots of love and light. And we will chat soon.
Okay, bye.